At the end of December 1978, severe anomalous frosts struck the Soviet Union. In many regions of the European part of the country, temperatures dropped to minus 50 degrees Celsius. In Arkhangelsk, thermometers showed minus 43 degrees, in Leningrad, minus 39, in Moscow, minus 37, and in the Moscow region, even minus 45 degrees Celsius. This true Arctic freeze not only spoiled New Year's celebrations for hundreds of thousands of Soviet people, but also created truly extreme conditions in which many were forced simply to survive. In December 1978, many city dwellers noticed that the winter had come without snow. People in rural areas understood that this threatened the harvest, since snow cover is essential for preserving winter crops, especially if deep frosts arrived. These fears came true on December 28th, when a powerful anticyclone from the Kara Sea brought a strong cold snap, spreading from the north of the country into the European part. The so-called ultra-polar intrusion brought temperatures down to minus 37 degrees in Moscow on the night of December 30th, minus 48 degrees in Tatarstan and the Urals, and down to minus 50 in the Kostroma and Chelyabinsk regions. In the eastern part of the Komi Republic, meteorologists recorded minus 58 degrees. According to experts, such severe frosts in the European part of the Soviet Union occurred only once every 50 or even 80 years. Many compared the anomalous cold to the winter of 1940 to 41. In the United States, attention was also drawn to the harsh Soviet winter. The emigrant newspaper Novoye Ruskoye Slovo, published in New York, devoted an entire article to the topic, speculating about a new impending ice age. On television and radio, Soviet citizens were advised not to let children go outside and to avoid alcohol during the New Year holidays to prevent accidents and conserve bodily energy. In regions where temperatures dropped to minus 50 degrees, businesses implemented shortened working days. A real crisis struck public utilities in many cities. Pipes couldn't withstand the attempts to raise water temperatures. In Ulyanovsk, where temperatures dropped to minus 45, central heating radiators burst. They were only replaced a week later. In Moscow, as New Year approached, many districts experienced power outages and broken water pipes. People sat beside cold radiators, wrapped in warm clothes. Most no longer felt like celebrating. To avoid freezing, they turned on gas stoves, ovens, and electric fireplaces, while listening to radio broadcasts urging frozen citizens to conserve resources. But even these measures didn't help. The walls of many apartments became covered with frost. Long-distance passenger train travel became very difficult. Due to wire breakages, people had to wait for hours for trains to arrive. Many Soviet homes had no champagne or even soda on their tables. Tens of thousands of bottles burst in frozen storehouses from the extreme cold. Bread disappeared from many shops. Deliveries stopped entirely due to the abnormal frosts. The severe cold inflicted serious damage on agriculture, destroying vast numbers of orchards. As a result, the 1979 harvest of plums, cherries, apples, and pears failed. The abnormal frost triggered numerous emergencies across the country. In the Tatushi district of the Republic of Tatarstan, a group of tourists from Pavlodar was trapped in an icy snare. The group consisted of middle school students who had arrived on December 29th to undertake a ski trek through sites associated with Lenin, with Kazan as their final destination. They were to travel 120 kilometers along the frozen Volga River. Already en route, the group was overtaken by a severe frost, making it impossible to continue. The teacher leading the group sent 2 students back for help. Struggling through the snow, they began to lose strength. Fortunately, they came across an abandoned forester's house, where a local tractor driver found them semi-frozen on the morning of December 30th. He then reported the freezing tourists to the local police department, ROVD. To rescue the group, police officers Alexander Shliachkov and Yevgeny Torgashov set out on a snowmobile. They managed to pick up the freezing tourists from various locations. After building a large fire in a ravine, the officers attempted to warm up the school children and later evacuated them to the village of Dolgaya Polyana. Unfortunately, there were casualties. One of the group members died. The abnormal frost nearly caused a radiation disaster in the Urals. In December 1978, the region turned into a true Arctic zone. Sverdlovsk Oblast was engulfed by icy northern air. Thermometers showed minus 47 degrees Celsius. From the burst pipes, dense fog blanketed city streets, and everything was coated in a layer of ice. During this deep freeze, on the night of December 31st, a fire broke out at the Beloyarsk nuclear power plant. According to the main version of events, the reinforced concrete structures of the machine hall could not withstand the temperature difference. Outside, it was nearly minus 50 degrees, while inside it was sweltering. Huge beams fell onto the generator of the first power unit, rupturing a steam pipe, which then ignited the oil block. The fire began spreading through cable tunnels. By some miracle, the hydrogen cooling tanks next to the turbines were not affected. When fire crews arrived, the main building was already engulfed in flames. They had a few water tankers and one foam tanker for extinguishing the hot oil. Meanwhile, due to the severe cold, fire hoses froze to the ground, and the flames had already reached the equipment. This meant the fire could spread through the cables to other areas of the station. The cables had to be extinguished immediately, but it wasn't possible to cut the power until the reactor was shut down. Firefighters resorted to a spray arc method, which protected them from electric shock. Firefighters faced a daunting task. Besides extinguishing the flames, they had to ensure the operation of the plant's staff, who continued working in gas masks. By that time, 300 buses and several train carriages had been prepared for a possible evacuation of the population. Fortunately, through incredible efforts, the fire was extinguished. It took 20 hours, and the station remained operational. After New Year's, the frost began to subside. Despite the fact that the severe cold lasted a relatively short time, it caused significant domestic and environmental damage to the country.